One of the things I've been talking about for quite some time is that the only place that there's real racism left in America is on the left, right? Like, of course, there are individual racist people. There are bad people. It's just how it is. There are mean people. There are people who do not like black people. There are people who don't like Jews. There are people who don't like white people. There are people who don't like gays. There are people who don't like straights. But the only place in America that any of this is okay, and not only okay, but actually manufactured and then pushed out via giant corporations, is on the left. So MSNBC peddles in this social justice nonsense all the time. They constantly attack white people, constantly attack Christians, constantly attack straight people. It's what the network is doing. Now, you may wonder, why would NBC, a giant corporation, be just pushing racism all day long? But that is the path that I suppose MSNBC has decided is right in terms of making money, because at the end of the day, these guys just want to make money. So Michael Eric Dyson, who is a professor who has been on Bill Maher's show probably 24 times, he was on Joy Reid's show. Now, you know Joy Reid. This woman is not well. If you pretend you're watching her show from a mental institution, it makes a hell of a lot more sense. He was on Joy Reid's show, and he was attacking Winsome Sears. Now, who is Winsome Sears? Well, of course, as you guys know, last week, Glenn Youngkin won the Virginia governor's race over Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe was the Democrat who said that parents shouldn't have anything to do with their kids' education. Critical race theory isn't in schools. You're all a bunch of racists, blah, blah, blah. Just a bad dude. So finally, we got that hope, right? I'm always talking about the hope in the distance, and we got some hope by Youngkin winning. Absolutely. Well, Winsome Sears is the lieutenant governor-elect. Now, she happens to be a black woman. Now, you would think that Michael Eric Dyson and Joy Reid and the people over at MSNBC who are always talking about systemic racism might be happy when a black woman becomes so successful, but they're not into it. Here's Michael Eric Dyson.
Problem is here, they want white supremacy by ventriloquist effect. There is a black mouth moving, but a white idea through the running on the runway of the tongue of a figure who justifies and legitimates the white supremacist practices. We know that we can internalize in our own minds, in our own subconscious, in our own bodies, the very principles that are undoing us. So to have a black face speaking in behalf of a white supremacist legacy is nothing new. And it is to the chagrin of those of us who study race that the white folk on the other side and the right wingers on the other side don't understand this is politics 101 and this is race, not even 101. What's beneath 101? It's the pre-K of race. You should understand the fact that if you tell black people, look, I support a Negro. Look, there is a person of color that I am in favor of, and that person of color happens to undermine and undercut and subvert the very principles about which we are concerned, you do yourself no service by pointing to them as an example of your racial progressivism.
God, there's an awful lot there. First off, I just want to reiterate, you will not find anything nearly that racist on Fox News today or on Newsmax tomorrow or any of those right-wing media outlets that these people are always freaking out about. That was abject, pure racism, not reverse racism, not special racism. It was just old-fashioned racism. He thinks that this black woman, Winsome Sears, who has a pretty fantastic resume, and if you watch some of her talk on election night, like, this woman's pretty spectacular. Okay, and I don't care about the color of her skin. These people racialize everything, and then we have to, unfortunately, respond to it. His line there, a black mouth moving, but white idea running on the runway. Like, how disgusting is that? Ideas don't have color. You're allowed to be whatever color you are and have different ideas, but he thinks that the color of his skin is the totality of his ideas. And that is so dangerous. It is actually racism. It is the very definition of prejudice, which is to prejudge. So if you just saw a black person walking down the street and you judge them as if I must know all of the things you think because you're black, that would be prejudice, right? So the more that black people succeed, the more that these race hucksters, and that's what they are, the more they will get angry. But this guy, Michael Eric Dyson, has been doing this for years and years and years. And as I said, he's on Bill Maher's show all the time. He was actually on this Friday, and I'll get to that in just a second. But Michael reminded me that he actually did a debate with Jordan Peterson. This is about 2.5 years ago, a little bit before COVID. I think maybe I was on tour with Jordan at the time, if I'm not mistaken, about 2.5 years ago. And they were debating race and a whole bunch of other stuff, you know, all the stuff that we always talk about on this show. These are the Munk debates. And here's Michael Eric Dyson, and then listen to Jordan Peterson's response.
But that is to be complicit in the very problem itself, terminologically. You're beginning at a point that's already productive and controversial. You're saying, how can he get his equality back? Who are you talking about? Jordan Peterson, trending #1 on Twitter? Jordan Peterson, with an international bestseller? I want him to tweet something out about me in my book. Jordan Peterson, right? This is what I'm saying to you. Why the rage, bruh? You're doing well, but you're a mean, mad white man, and you're going to get us right. And
well, what I derive from that series of rebuttals, let's say, is twofold. The first is that saying that the radical left goes too far when they engage in violence is not a sufficient response by any stretch of the imagination, because there are sets of ideas in radical leftist thinking that led to the catastrophes of the 20th century, and that was at the level of idea, not at the level of violent action. It's a very straightforward thing to say you're against violence. It's like being against poverty. It's like, you know, generically speaking, decent people are against poverty and violence. It doesn't address the issue in the least. And with regards to my privilege or lack thereof, I mean, I'm not making the case that I haven't had advantages in my life and disadvantages in my life like most people. You don't know anything about my background or where I came from, and it doesn't matter to you because fundamentally I'm a mean white man. That's a hell of a thing to say in a debate.
God, I love that ending there by Jordan, right? Like, you don't know anything about my life, but fundamentally I'm a mean white man. Like, that's what you've distilled my existence down to. I just want to say one other thing just on the Jordan front. And by the way, I'm interviewing Jordan tomorrow. I talked to him this morning, and we're going to do a little different type of interview than we normally would. It's going to be a little more push and pull and open conversation. But when I was on tour with Jordan for 1.5 years, I never saw him angry. There were times that he was sort of upset about something, or he would get a hit piece written and whatever, but he would always try to give the benefit of the doubt to the writer. He would always try to de-escalate tensions, all of those things. But all Dyson has left is you're a mean white man. I mean, really, I know you guys know Jordan well enough. Is he a mean white man? And if he is mean, does it have anything to do with his skin color? And has he ever said he's better than anyone because of his skin color? So I love the way Jordan just calmly and rationally did that.